What up, you lovely people? It is Thursday. I think it's the 9th, I guess, of August, and we've made it to week 8. I know, it's Thursday. I probably should have done this on Monday, but it's a little bit poignant today because today is officially the last day that I have to drive to Chatsworth for the entire summer 2018 summer camp season. And so, yeah, it's a little bittersweet. Heading out there. It's 8:34 right now. Estimated time of arrival approximately 9:29, 9:30. Hopefully, if tracking Google is right, and I hope Google's wrong for all the right reasons.
There's a 22-minute slowdown in 4 miles.
Of course, I could be wrong. But anyway, with that being said, it is my last drive to Chatsworth willfully for work, and to film a couple things. And this is also the last week that all 9 camps are in session, all at the same time. So once we get into the last, 2 weeks of the camp season, we've reduced our locations, and my workload is going to lighten up a little bit, which is really good timing because of a final paper I have to finish that's due next Friday, which I started cranking out a little bit more of last night. So yeah, with that being said, it's been a crazy summer. I have to admit that, finding time to really do anything has been a challenge, but somehow I've been able to pull it off gracefully, so, that's a good thing. With that being said, I will say Sunday was pretty cool. If any of you guys were checking out what was going on online, ended up in San Diego. Didn't expect this, but ended up in San Diego enjoying SeaWorld. And I haven't been to SeaWorld in like 30 years. I mean, I was 4. I remember very vaguely going to SeaWorld, seeing this Shamu show, as a kid, and then that was pretty much it, because by the time 1990 hit, that was pretty much the end of any sort of family structure I had. So it was nice to really revisit, but for me, I really considered more of like the first time I've returned to SeaWorld, and I really enjoyed it. So I'd like to thank Gabby for the opportunity to do that. And after we did that, we had a fun time in Old Town San Diego, and I didn't realize that it was a state park. That was the thing that kind of tripped me out the most, was that it was a state park, and that it was really just cool. Like, I don't think I've seen anything like this before, where you have all these historical buildings and then all these businesses and small like tiendas, seriously, just popped up. I mean, you've got people making tortillas in front of your face. You've got Mexican food and all sorts of other food all over the place. You've got specialty shops and craft stores and all sorts of really, really cool things. And I'm going, wow, this is Old Town San Diego. It's right in front of the train. So if you decided to take the train all the way down to San Diego, this is where it would drop you off. And I'm going, wow. If there was any place to put a state park, that is it. And I mean, the area that makes up Old Town San Diego is where the first fort base, military bases were set up, for San Diego. And so that's the fact that they've even kept the buildings and everything is just an amazing sight. And yeah, I mean, even on a Sunday night, I mean, obviously it was the summer, so everyone's off. But even though it was the summer, it was actually pretty lively. I mean, there were a lot of people, and I gotta go. Of course, it was it was a surprise, but not really, because I had seen this restaurant on some videos online, but Casa de Reyes in the Old Town San Diego area, and it was right in the middle of everything. And I have to say, some of the best Mexican food I've had in my life. I am not shitting you, and I'm talking about all the Mexican food I've had in California and in other states. It was really just a great treat to have, and I'm very grateful for the experience and just the opportunity to be able to enjoy a day like that on Sunday. Very impromptu, especially after all the work and everything going on, trying to balance school and all that fun stuff. So that was a lot of fun. If you haven't been to Old Town San Diego, I sometimes feel like I'm like one of the last people to discover things like this, but if you haven't been, please go. It's definitely worth it. I really, definitely a fun time. So it's San Diego is just one of those places that never ceases to amaze me. And I mean, I've had to go down to that area for work, videography, all that fun stuff. But to be able to do this now is just that was awesome. So that was pretty much Sunday. I mean, the rest of the week hasn't been too much of anything. And hi, Christy. I'm like, it's crazy when you think how quickly 8 weeks can go by, especially when you're just working, and summer's pretty much just been work. I'm looking forward to a day when it's not going to be that way, but I doubt that's going to happen for a very long time. But yeah, with the driving and everything like that, I'll probably, assuming that things continue in the pattern that they are, I'll probably be returning to my normal Uber driving after all of this is over. Which I kind of got into it a little bit on Saturday, testing out a few things. New dash cam, which is pretty cool. I definitely recommend a dash cam, especially for just covering your assets when you have to, and when you're driving. If you're interested in the one that I'm using, which was a recommendation from another friend, please feel free to message me, and I'll send you a link to the one on Amazon. So definitely, so far, I've been testing it for the last few days. It's been working great, and it records both the dash, so like your forward facing, and also records cabin. So it's great for Uber drivers. It's also great for people who just have random people in their car at all times, which doesn't always equate to Uber, but there you go. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, and very lucky that Sunday was just an easy day on the road. I mean, didn't really get stuck in traffic. Saturday's the pits, as from my own experience driving a customer from LAX to San Diego, which still the concept that I even had to do that still astonishes me. But yeah, traffic was pretty good and all that fun stuff. So this week is a bit unusual in that there's no hockey this week. I don't have a hockey game on Friday. This is one of a couple bye weeks that we have on the team at Toyota Sports Center. And with that being said, this Friday has been substituted for a chicken biscuits and vintage video games night. So I'm kind of contemplating doing that, and if anyone is interested, because I have to kind of cook certain numbers of chicken, please let me know, because it is a RSVP event. Currently I have 2 other people showing up, and this may devolve into Super Nintendo and Cards Against Humanity, depending on the mood. So if you are interested, feel free to send an RSVP and let me know that you're coming on Friday night. Speaking of hockey, I'm not completely dried out of hockey this week. I was asked to play in Panorama City on Sunday at 6 p.m. So if anyone is interested in going back to the Valley, this is one of the few times that I'll go to the Valley unpaid. No, seriously, I'm running out of reasons to be there. If anyone's interested, Panorama City, LA Kings Valley Ice Center, 6 p.m. on Sunday night. I've been asked to sub in a playoff game, which I kind of find funny. It seems like when playoff games happen, that's when all the goalies play hooky. But hey, it's always nice to be wanted. So I am subbing, and there might be shenanigans afterwards, or I might do sushi and sawtelle, depending on my mood. So that is that. Well, so right now I'm just sitting on the freeway. I'm just passing La Cienega, and as mentioned, from the home office to Chatsworth is about 40 miles, and 40 miles any time of the morning on the 405, you're pretty much sitting like a schmuck, and so I have a lot of time to listen to Motown music and contemplate life. Yeah, and trying to figure out what's going on for the fall semester, which I'm trying to set up field work for one of my classes. Is a elective for my graduate certificate in applied disability studies, and I'm not really getting the greatest amount of help from my program coordinator. So this is getting really interesting, and I'm going to have to play email tag, and this is not the kind of stuff that I really look forward to, but when people drop the ball, you kind of have to pick it up and keep going, and then hope that you can throw the ball back at them, preferably aiming for the face. Yeah. So Tuesday was interesting. I've got to hang out in Playa del Rey for a little bit, and chat about maybe doing something in the fall there for pay, which would be awfully nice. So far, because we are winding down to the end of the summer, I'm starting to contemplate, what I'd like to do in terms of like seeking full-time employment. There is a little bit of a luxury here in regards to, I'm still a student, so I can still kind of look into just kind of chilling a little bit and doing that kind of thing. But it would be awfully nice to find something else. But I think that I can find a better fit in regards to things that I enjoy doing. So we'll figure that out, kind of go from there, and all that stuff. So always curious what's going on in your world. I know that 8:45. It's probably closer to lunch for some of you guys on the East Coast, and somewhere close to almost lunch on in other places. Hope that everyone is well today, and this is just one of my random broadcasts that I normally do. I remember at one point that I had this following, because this would be almost like clockwork, 7 a.m. on a Monday, and it's like, hey, I'm on the air, unaware, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, that is life as I know it, and I find that coming up with material, especially when there's really not too much to complain about, is quite an amazing challenge, and a good one to have. Because I will say, with all the weird stuff going on, things are pretty good right now, and I really can't complain. Oh yeah, so then other random news too. So decided on Tuesday night, go ahead and swing by, get on Eleanor, swing by Dave & Buster's. Ended up bumping into old classmate from Nativity, who just happens to now be the general manager of that Dave & Buster's in Torrance, and it was really nice to see him again. So yes, if anybody of you knew you old Nativity people, looking for a place to do your parties and events, you need to go hit up Sebastian, because he is seriously there, like quite a bit. Get your party on, reserve your rooms, that all sort of thing. But it's nice to know that our Dave & Buster's in Torrance is in local hands, and that is a good thing. So that was a refreshing visit that ended in boba somewhere in Gardena. But I will say, Eleanor update, she's okay. I'm still riding her, and there's no issues so far, so I'm very grateful for that. Now I've got to figure out what to do with Pam, because now she's just like, what am I, chopped liver? Which, she's not. But when you have two working motorcycles, it gets a little problematic when you know that you can't clone yourself because it hasn't been scientifically proven that it's possible. Sigh. Well, we tried, right? Also, just randomly, because I ended up having to work a little late and doing some papers the other day. There are like two Starbucks in the near LAX that are open 24 hours. So in case you don't know, the one on PCH and Grand, I believe, it's it's in the parking where the Ralph's is. Anyway, that one's open 24 hours, and surprisingly, when I was there at about 10:30, 11 o'clock, it was surprisingly packed. I am surprised. Everyone with their laptops, and they're all hanging out outside. It was about 78 degrees outside, really pretty, and just needed to wipe down the tables outside, and it was perfectly fine. So that was pretty good. And apparently there is another 24-hour Starbucks on the other side of the airport in Westchester on Sepulveda. So there are a couple 24-hour Starbucks if you are so inclined to have to go do that. Good stuff. So other shout outs I'll throw out there. If anyone is interested, and I'm just pitching it out there, but for the third year in a row, I will be playing in the Face Off with Cancer tournament in Simi Valley. And I just posted the link on my page. I'll probably be posting it every couple days or so, just to remind everyone. But I am this year taking donations to help raise funds for hockey families in California and individuals who are battling cancer. This is a really cool cause. I've been doing this for the last 3 years, and I will say, unlike some of the cancer fundraisers that I have seen, this is one of the few that I've seen that we see firsthand what our contributions provide for some of these families. One of the biggest things that hit me last year, and it's one of the things that just angers me about how teachers get compensated. But one of the recipients for some of the bigger awards for our from the fundraising, there was this teacher in the Valley who has been battling cancer for a while, and she battled it a couple times, beat it, and then it came back again, and she was in another round of chemo. And the problem is that she had to leave her classroom enough times to where she ran out of sick days, and she got to the point where she had to pay out of pocket for a substitute teacher to teach for her. And it's bad when you have to be out that long, because you're fighting a disease, but you're trying to make a living. And it got to the point where she had to pay for a sub out of pocket. And so some of the proceeds from the fundraising for last year went toward covering the substitute teacher expenses for this teacher, so that she could continue finishing her chemo without having to worry about financial issues. And that was a really huge one for me. Being an educator and knowing how shitty we get paid. I mean, I'm just putting it out there, but I mean, we really don't get paid very well. And I'm saying this too as an IT person in the education field. I mean, I'm practically a saint. It's that's really huge. I'm not sure. It would be really cool to see, who would be some of the next recipients and benefactors from this, or beneficiaries from this, from our fundraising this year. But as normal, as usual, the goal, and it usually gets surpassed, is to raise the $100,000 every year, so that there is something out there for these families that really just want to keep on living and living life and enjoying hockey and having their families and everything like that. So if anyone's interested, I am raising funds. Every player in this tournament has to raise a minimum donation, and me included. And this year I'm not playing goalie for the second year in a row. I guess I'll get a little bit of a break. I'll be playing as a defenseman / forward in a 3-on-3 Ironman style tournament, very quick. In the co-ed division. So, if anyone is interested and would like to donate a few bucks, I mean, it really doesn't, even like, $1, $5, anything small. I mean, every little bit helps, and we're just trying to just raise the funds, one player at a time. And the tournament itself is on the weekend of August 25th and 26th. That is going to be at Simi Valley Isoplex. It's an all-day tournament. And we have games throughout the day. It's about 5 or 6 games that are 20 minutes long, very short, because they're a 3-on-3 ongoing, no stop time. So there's a lot going on there. It should be a lot of fun. I always look forward to it every year, and it's a good workout. And I'm usually, hungover, exhausted from all the energy spent after every tournament. I always enjoy that extra burn. So looking forward to it. Also, I think they're in the search for a couple more women's teams to make their way out there. There is a women's division this year. I usually don't compete in the women's division because I usually end up having to play against the same people I play against on Friday nights. So I try to stay in the co-ed division just because it's usually guys I've never seen before, because they're guys. Haven't really subbed in any of the men's leagues in the last couple seasons because I haven't been called up as a goalie, but I will say that it's nice to see diversity on the ice at times, because when you see the same faces every week and you know exactly how they're going to shoot, it doesn't stimulate much of as much thinking as it should. So there's that. So yeah, I'll put that out again, probably in the comments, if anyone wants to donate. But like I say, it's much appreciated. I throw in my share as well, and I know that there have been some previous donors from previous years, which I appreciate very much. And I want to let everyone know that your donations, I don't keep any of it. It goes toward a wonderful cause, and like I said, having seen firsthand that it helped an educator is something that really means a lot to me. So that is a big deal, you know. Anyway, with that being said, I'm still crawling. I'm just passing the Jefferson Boulevard exit on the 405. I'm still looking at about another, 36 minutes of driving here, and as I just ramble on with life. It's warm still. I mean, it's bad when it was like 10:30 at night, and it was still in the low 80s, upper 70s, lower 80s, and just sitting out and just enjoying the evening. And man, it's these are the days that many of us wish for, and then when they come, we're just like, could it just be colder? And then no one's ever happy with temperatures. But I will say one thing that is always special about living out here in LA is that no matter what, the weather is tolerable. Maybe annoying, maybe a little warm, but it's always going to be tolerable. We're never going to be in a blizzard. We're never going to be, in a whole full week of torrential downpours unless it's January. And we really are spoiled as a state with that. And it is sad though, because I am seeing some haze, and I know about that fire, the holy fire in the my friends, I have a couple friends who are helping with rescue efforts for the animals and or on standby. It sounds like, though, from what I'm seeing, is that the animal situation is under control, and that any horses and things have been evacuated properly as necessary. And the part though that really ticks me off, because we have enough issues with fire starting naturally, especially this time of the year, is that this fire was started by an a-hole, like with arson, and this guy's a nut job. I'm not going to go into it, but go ahead and Google that. But yeah, they did arrest the guy who started that fire. And I personally think, we should like Hammurabi's code that shit. I mean, sacrifice him to the fire as well. I think yeah, that might be useful. Because, no pun intended or pun intended, but people like that definitely deserve to burn. As I said, we barely have enough, enough problems. We have enough problems trying to put out stuff that Mother Nature starts by whatever reason. But then when you have humans who are like, hey, I feel like burning some shit, and then just because they're having a feud with a neighbor, and then it's like, do you even realize? And one thing that my other friend told me yesterday about getting older is that the older you get, the more you realize that the decisions you make will affect more people than you'll ever know. And that's if you're mature enough to even understand that. And, this guy was definitely old enough to assess the potential consequences of setting a canyon on fire with a lot of dry brush. Because you start a fire, it is very difficult to control unless you already have everything in place. So, yeah, I think we should toss him into the fire. I'm totally a proponent for that. I mean, just a thought, because really, like, and I still believe that, arson should be, especially out here in California where we are in very much, fire-prone areas, I think that the consequences for arson should be even higher than they already are. Because, I mean, you think about, the tens of thousands of firefighters that have been dispatched for this job, and the fact that every single one of them could potentially lose their lives because of some idiot who decided to start some shit, yeah, that's a problem. So, yeah, when you think about your firefighters, you think about your police officers and all the people that pretty much get paid to, stick their necks out for, to either uphold the law or make sure that none of us die easily. Yeah, I mean, I know there's always a lot of flack. Someone's going to be like, blah, 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 police and whatever, but I'm sorry. It's a job, and it's a job that has a lot of risks in it. It's actually starting to get to a point where educators also have to deal with risks as well, even more risks than they ever had to. So, I mean, regardless, it's a job with a risk if we just kind of leave it at the most, basic level of things. And, a lot of those guys, and I think all of them, really desire to come back home alive every single day. So, if when you're thinking about, lighting shit on fire, please make sure it's a barbecue, not near a bunch of dry brush. Because, I mean, fire is great when, it doesn't turn into something that 10,000 firefighters have to put out. So, just putting it out there. Anyway, so I'm just going to keep moseying along here, enjoying the final day of my rides to Chatsworth. And, I hope that you guys have a good rest of the day. P.S. After Chatsworth, I will be going back down to El Segundo. So if anyone's interested in tacos, I will be available for tacos between 11:45 and approximately 12:45 p.m. Over at Ensenada Surf and Turf Grill. So if you're in the area, I usually one of my traditions when I have to shoot in El Segundo on Thursdays is to have my fish tacos, and I usually just get 2 of them. So yeah, I'm going to be down that area before I have to head to Richmond Street Elementary to do the thing where I film a dress rehearsal, and and also if you are bored and you're very curious about the story or the legend of the left shark giraffe, feel free to message me privately. I will tell you all about it. So be good. Don't set shit on fire unless you know you're controlling it, like barbecue, please. And, if you're a firefighter or an EMT or a police officer or someone who is, out here for basically, public service, please be safe out there. And I hope that you do not encounter multiple stupid people all at once, and that you're able to manage and go home like you normally should. So, with that being said, I will bid you all adieu. Be good. Don't do anything crazy or too crazy that may cause consequences to happen to a bunch of other people. Or, may end you up on Facebook for all the wrong reasons. You know how that goes. So, be good. I'll talk to you all later.